was talking about trying to wanting to rezone it to something
Yeah.
else because somebody owned it
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted to change it.
No, is there no right here? King Street right here.
No,
Right here.
yeah, this
We're right here.
property right here is the one they was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What's something else?
Right, but they're talking about somebody that owns this. And I don't know if they just purchased it
Mm-hmm.
or what, but they're wanting to rezone this to something
Yeah.
else.
Mm-hmm. Right at King Street right here. Mm-hmm.
No.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't know it had sold.
So just come to light. Trying to come to a light. Just I guess a suggestion basically. So
about the Riverdale ordinance.
You know what I did?
When I make this motion, take this off,
Thank you, guys.
do you want to elaborate on it any yourself? I'll just ask that we take it off and you can just say that you're going to do more research on it before we'll bring it back.
Send this to you so you can read it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. You should have it.
Okay.
My question to him in his response back, and it's quote from the case, that may be different from our understanding about not having a specific district. Read it first. Starting point.
Right. Okay. So this one here, I'm gonna make a motion to remove this from the agenda. And the attorney's gonna explain what she's gonna look into the budget before we do that.
Well, why is that?
Because Riverdale's got an ordinance that is a lot more stricter than ours. They done been through this process. They could save us $5,000, that's why. There's no use reinventing the wheel if somebody else has already got it. We've done this before. Something will come up and you wanna change your ordinance, what we usually do is we'll pull a couple of other cities' ordinance on that same subject. And then we just copy their ordinance and look at it and change whatever we wanna change on it. Then you don't have to pay $5,000 to have somebody draw it up. She can draw it up herself. She can do it herself. I pulled the ordinance up in Riverdale, took it in there, and we discussed it and looked at it, and she's done some more research on it, and she wants to just table this, not table it, just take it off the agenda and we'll bring it back.
Is it the lawyer?
Yeah, the lawyer and the city manager. So we're just gonna take it off, and then she's gonna do some more research about it, and then if she can, she'll just draft it herself.
Yeah, that's
Have
house.
to pay $5,000.
Yeah, that's house.
I gave her a copy of the Riverdale ordinance today, and she said I talked about it with the city manager. And I'm gonna ask her, she'll elaborate on it a little more once I do it. come in like a chipmunk, we know what you've been up to.
The funny thing is, I'll tell the kids, if you look like a chipmunk, you have too much food in your mouth.
Hey, we're giving away food. Let's do it every time.
I'm looking for the basketball. What was that? Yeah. The playground. What was the last one? Since Carter mentioned that the issue that the equipment and the what's it again? What I saw that? Oh, right. But I saw the email came that it shows what need to get done. Okay, right. So yeah, because so where they got it from? No, somewhere coming up. We need to get it looking good, you know. And so you know, those not finish up. And I think there was a budget for it. Where's the budget for the park?
We have our,
Yeah, but it was.
we have money in your park, but it's not for us yet.
Why not?
We got to look at the budget, we got to find, we first got to get clean.
They should, what I'm saying is that those two is dangerous for the kids. We're not fixing time for the kids. There's summer coming up.
Go up the swing, merry-go-round.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And basketball, we painted over and all kind of stuff like that. We need to be excited. Get up and keep them. We're too much. In 2 weeks' time, school is out. Right?
The basketball court, what if they talk to the people that come to work on it? That shouldn't be that way. That's their fault. They won't understand it. It's not nobody's protection. They should understand good and fix it. They didn't pour it up.
Okay. Summer coming up, and if for a new basketball court, even if stripping it off already, it could work. They start out in 2 weeks' time, and they got to find somewhere to go.
I think we're working on the plan now. I know he found the first one in September, and they did a review.
Okay.
Because something else came out of that. I don't know if it was any of it. So I know they're kind of weighing down to try to which one I went.
We gotta get, I'm just, you put a perfectly good basketball court into a jump park. I'm just, safety is his, I got my young.
They did do the paint and did.
I saw the pad look good. So you know what I need? I need some chain or unchain?
On what?
On the rim, on the basketball court.
Oh, I don't know. Did they put chains on him?
Well, I went there today, and you know what I noticed? Even trash all over the place. Trash all over the place, all over.
They should just go ahead and buy about a half a dozen of them and put them in stock, and then when I mess up, they just go and stick it on there and they're done with it. Can't cost that much.
You know, a couple days ago, I was there, and some kids told me, said, we get the worst basketball court before it was good. And I said, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, nothing changed. So I looked into it today. I looked into it and see what to come up with. I know we have a plan, but I don't know what the plan is as yet. Taking place. So, and but I'm looking into it. You know, my kids come there. My kids come there a lot, and I know from my neighbors over here, living in Woodley, they want to come and complain to me about it. I said, listen, I said, you know, it's kind of something that you know, I know we're gonna hire people for this, but the area it doesn't look right.
Careful.
Okay, let me see what
Call the council meeting to order at this time. Please stand for the invocation, pledge to the flag. Reverend White, please. Let us pray. Father Almighty, how grateful we are for your many gifts, one of which is the gift of this fair city. By your providential hand, you guided this city many years ago to be instituted on the principle that citizens and their elected officials can come together and work together to solve problems, to face challenges, and to plan for the future. And that is ultimately why we are here this evening. We pray that your Holy Spirit would guide our actions, our discussions, our thoughts, our behavior this evening. That we could do your will, that we could help to build an even better Hampton, Georgia, through the work that we do this evening. We recognize that none of us has all the answers. Indeed, you have providentially planned that together, the collective wisdom of each other can make the best decisions. And so we pray your blessings on everything that happens this evening, and that we could emerge from this meeting resolved to work together to build a stronger, better future in love, with your grace, and always trusting in you. We pray this in Christ's name. Amen. Ivan and Hunter from Hampton High School.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, my city manager.
While everyone is reassembling, I'd ask the two students to please stand again. They were not introduced to us, but we have Mr. Hunter Harper and Mr. Ivan Olera. They are both juniors at the Hampton High School, but I bring them to your attention because they have also been selected to represent this community on the international level. These two students are going to be a part of the historic Ambassadors and Sneakers Transatlantic Human Rights Academy Exchange, which is being sponsored by the Federated Government of Germany. We found out just yesterday that the United States Embassy of Hamburg has signed on to be one of the sponsors as well. This will be a dynamic exchange between 12 American students, 12 German students, and we are so pleased that our very own Hampton will be represented in that light. These are two fine men. They attended the orientation with me, and please thank them.
Thank you, gentlemen. And like I said, I knew about this a little before Mr. Coney was hired, that I went to Mr. Gore at the high school and asked him for two of his tops juniors. And ladies and gentlemen, he picked these out. Matter of fact, Mr. Gore paid $1,200 for these two students to go to Germany out of his own pocket. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on to presentation, welcome new employees. Ms. Denise McKay.
Mike?
This is Rebecca Blunt. She is a new Main Street assistant. You will see her face a lot in town. She is around town, so just please make her welcome. She's been hard at work for the last month. We've had a lot of activity. She hit the ground running and she hasn't stopped, and I'm just so glad to have her on board. Welcome, Rebecca.
One more, Mr. Coney, will you please stand, our new city manager? Mr. Coney come to work for us on April the 16th of 2018. He is a seasonal business consultant with experience in the private and public sector, where he had partnered with clients toward improvement, processing, streamlining procedures, and value-added customer service. As the city manager for Hampton, he is responsible for the daily government operation. Additionally, he is elected city councilman governing Fitzgerald, Georgia, where they have the Wild Chicken Festival. And Charles leads Hampton with more than 30 years of professional experience in the community development, human resource, IT, administration, and finance. Prior, he served as the assistant county manager for Macon-Bibb County and as the chief administrative officer for the Ben Hill County Board of Education. Welcome aboard, sir. Tiffany? Derek, can you ask Susan to step in?
So we have newly reintroduced the Employee of the Month program. This is something that I think is a great tool for the city to use to motivate the employees to continue doing well in their job and to be recognized when they are above and beyond in their position. So I want to take just a moment and read a poem called Making a Difference. One day, a man was walking along the beach when he noticed a boy picking something up and gently throwing it into the ocean. Approaching the boy, he asked, "What are you doing?" The youth replied, "Throwing starfish back into the ocean. The surf is up and the tide is going out. If I do not throw them back, they will die." "Son," the man said, "don't you realize there are miles and miles of beach and thousands of starfish? You cannot make a difference." After politely listening, the boy bent down and picked up another starfish. He threw it back into the surf. Then, smiling at the man, he said, "I made a difference for that one." At this time, I would like to thank Susan King for making a difference. Every day, Susan greets each person that walks through this building with a smile and a cheerful attitude. I don't ever think I've seen her be grouchy at anything. And sometimes when you're in the public eye, that's a difficult thing to do. There's not one task that she's been given that she's just not been an overachiever. And so, Susan, I say thank you. Thank you so much.
Susan, don't run off. Come up to the mic. Tell us a little about yourself.
Good night, everyone. I was not prepared for a speech. I'm Susan King. I'm originally from Trinidad. And it has been a pleasure to be here in Georgia and working and living in Hampton. And I thank you all very, very much for this day of appreciation. And I will continue to always smile and do my best. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. We have one more. Councilman Mitchell, would you please stand, please, sir? Mitchell, would you please stand? The reason we're having graduation out there, we got all the cookies and little things out there. This gentleman will be graduating from Georgia State University on May the 10th with your BS, is that correct?
Chemistry.
And then on May the 11th with his BA. So, it's great to have you here, and congratulations for graduating college.
It's a pleasure for me to serve Hampton, and it's been a trial time for me to study and prepare to study again to take my LSAT, try to go to law school. I want to thank you all to be here to enjoy this day with me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Moving on. Approval of minutes, public hearing budget meeting, special council meeting, April the 10th, 2018. Any discussion? All in favor? Pass 5-0. Special call council meeting, April the 26th, 2018.
I make a motion to approve.
Any discussion? All in favor? Pass 5-0. Okay, invited guests. I have Mr. Martin's not here, but I believe Donnie and Mickey are here. Is that correct? From the Kinsley Grace Aquatic Center Foundation.
That's right. My name's Donnie Henderson. This is Mickey Turpin. As the mayor said, we're with the Kinsley Grace Foundation, and we're here on behalf of our Fall Music Festival that we did last year, and had a great time. Our numbers say we had about 800 people come through between ticket sales and oh, sure, sorry. You need me to start over? Good. So we're here in short to ask you guys to approve. I think we have two requests. One is for the alcohol and one is for the closing off the street again this year. And the date is October 20th this year. And Mickey's here if you guys have any questions. We're also on the, I'm on the advisory board. He's on the actual board.
Any question from my council? Okay, thank you, gentlemen. The representative from Home Equity Assess Realty, are they here? Well, come on up. This is one of our new businesses in town.
We want to thank everybody for giving us the opportunity to come here today. The opening of the company, the manager was here along with the city members, and they did a very good job for us, and they publicized us, and we're here to open a real estate firm, which we have opened already. We hope to do here, and we hope to do good business. We sell houses, we buy houses, we represent buyers and sellers at the same time. And with me here is Monica Davis, the manager for Home Equity Asset. I am the broker in charge. I'm the managing broker. Hopefully we will do a good business over here. Thank you.
Okay, where are y'all located at?
Hampton,
I mean, what address?
Hampton. 1062 Bear Creek Road.
Okay, thank you.
Bear Creek Boulevard, lot 102.
Okay, thank you.
We're right by the Waffle House.
Do we have any question from any council member?
Mr. Mayor?
Welcome to the city of Hampton.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Go right ahead, Mr. City Manager.
If I could add to that, a special thank you to the Main Street and to our economic development team, Rebecca and Denise, who personally worked with them to have an outstanding grand opening.
Miss Michelle Warner, are you in the audience tonight? She is a retirement field service and defined contribution program will be represented by the GMA.
Yes. Good evening. I am with the Georgia Municipal Association. I've only been there about a month now, but I've worked with them for many years. I've been finance officer for municipalities in the coastal area, so I'm very familiar with the issues that cities have, and I just want you to know that we are at your service, not just in the field of retirement, but we offer many services, health insurance. I know you guys get your workers' comp insurance through us, I believe, but we have lots of other services. We also perform a lot of lobbying services on cities' behalf every year when general session comes around. So we're a good resource for you all. If you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to get in touch. And if I can't help you, I'll find somebody who can.
Thank you. I hope you stay around for the meeting.
Oh, I will. I'm here to answer any questions if they come up when you address the retirement plan.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Scott from the Georgia Department of Public Health, Henry County Environmental Health County Manager. She is here as a resource to the Clover Ranch community.
Good evening.
Glenda Scott, Environmental Health County Manager for the Henry County Office of Environmental Health. And I was invited last week by your city manager to investigate some complaints in the Clover Ranch subdivision. I was also asked by our district public health director, Dr. Olimbinga Obasanjo, also to investigate.
Can you speak into the mic? People can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Shall I start over? Okay, my name is Glenda Scott. I'm an Environmental Health County Manager with the Henry County Office of Environmental Health. And I was invited last week to investigate complaints in the Clover Ranch subdivision. I was invited by your city manager as well as my district medical director, Dr. Olabinga Obasanjo. I met with Mr. John Spraggins and we did a tour of Clover Ranch, and I conducted an investigation and spoke to Mr. Coney as well as our district director concerning the problems that I saw in Clover Ranch. And I don't know if you want me to address that now or
We will address those later on in
okay,
this.
and I also want to let the citizens of Hampton know that the health department is there to serve you. I brought along some brochures with information on not only the environmental health services, but the clinical services as well. And there are plenty of resources that many of you may be able to use. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Going into public comments, Mr. Albert, are you here in the audience? I see you. Come on up here, please, sir. Please give us your name, address, and what you're going to be here to talk about.
I'm Albert Everson. I live at 109 Oxford Circle. I'm here regarding the area. I'm just trying to figure out like what the city of Hampton can do for the area of Clover Ranch, because we're all out there suffering. We're suffering. When I tell you we're suffering, and we need that help. That's why we're here now today. You know, it was hard to get the help, but we need that help.
Okay, explain more to me. I mean, what's wrong with out the Clover Ranch? I'm
What's
not.
wrong with the Clover Ranch
Yes,
area?
sir.
Is we're having a lot of sewage problems. We're getting charged for water. It's a lot of things that's out there haven't even been capped off. You know, anytime we explain everything about what's going on, you know, we can. It's like it's a book I can read out to you. But we're just here to get that. We need that help. So that's why I was saying I was just trying to figure out like what the city of Hampton can do for our area. You know, from us being in that area and everybody living in the city of Hampton, it's making the city of Hampton look bad. And I moved from Atlanta. You know, like I told my wife, I want to live in Atlanta. I can go back to Atlanta and live, but I moved into an environment that I want to live comfortable. You know, so that's why I'm here today.
Thank you, Albert. Any more comments? Anything else? Okay, thank you. Ryan? Ryan, is he in the audience? Miss Davis, Julia Davis?
Hi, I'm Julie Davis. No, just kidding.
Craig, that's not funny.
Yes, it is. No, this is Julie Davis right here. She's too shy to come up and talk. She chickened out.
What, can she come up and stand beside of you, please?
And there's at least one other on the list that has also chickened out. But I'm not afraid to speak. But this is concerning Clover Ranch. And when Julie first moved in, she was not allowed to look inside her trailer to inspect it before moving in. And when she did move in, they gave her the key, they gave her a move-in date. She moved her stuff in, and then they held her stuff for ransom and said, you owe us another $2,000 before you move in. And if you don't get your stuff out, we're gonna throw it out or confiscate it, sell it, whatever. She had to pay $5,000 to move in to a rental. And she was snookered into going from a rental into a rent-to-own. They said, if you rent, you have to put this much as a down payment. But if you rent-to-own, it's cheaper on the down payment. So it's like a bait and switch. You want to rent, you pay more to rent as far as your down payment. But then if you rent to own, they have you on the line as a homeowner after 5 years. Julie has not exercised her option to be a homeowner. And yet when something goes wrong, like the air conditioner goes out, the heat goes out, they say, well, you're the homeowner. You have to fix it. You have to pay for that. But if it's something simple like a loose board on the front steps, they say, oh, don't worry about it. Don't fix it, don't touch it. You're just a renter. We'll fix that for you. So if it's something cheap, they'll fix it. If it's something expensive, they expect you to pay for it. This is not right. My big issue is the taxes. Clover Ranch every March charges the residents that are, I'm not talking about those that own their trailer, just the ones that are renters or rent to own. They charge them on the bill a mobile home tax. This tax, according to OCGA and another regulation that is supported by OCGA, Official Code of Georgia, is called Rules and Regulations for Uniform Procedures for Mobile Homes. It says the collection of ad valorem taxes by tax collectors or tax commissioners. No other official is authorized to collect such taxes. The management at Clover Ranch is not authorized to collect these taxes. They are not a tax collecting authority, and yet they charge everybody on their bill these taxes. When I called the tax collector, the tax commissioner myself, he said all these taxes have already been paid. Well, if they've already been paid, then why are the residents being charged? So it's not just the taxes. There's a whole bunch of financial, fiscal things that are going on that are questionable. Julie has been taken to court 4 times now for an eviction. They say, you owe us this much money or we're going to evict you. We go to court and the judge says, go out in the hallway, talk about it, and come to some kind of agreement. And if you can't come to an agreement, then you have 7 days to get out. Well, she signed an agreement.
Mayor.
And one month later, they charge her a lot more money, a lot more than her rent.
Thank you, sir.
A lot of stuff going on, not right.
Miss Pat Rodriguez, you withdrew your name, is that correct? Okay, thank you, ma'am. Miss Nancy Moore, is she here? Nancy Moore? Okay, moving on to old business. Any more public comments? I said, I caught myself, Arlie. Come on up.
Arlie Lowe, 171 Lake Hampton Drive. I'm not speaking for myself, an individual who couldn't be here tonight because of the need to care for her parents, asked me to speak. I don't know why she asked me, since I'm such a shy and retiring kind of fellow, but she's has some concerns in the last meeting when there was a discussion about licensed vendors for alcohol, and a comment was made by the city attorney that you can get around that by having to bring your own. So if you bring your own, you don't need to have a licensed vendor. Her concern is that the city attorney should be advising how to comply with laws rather than how to circumvent them. And this just kind of gave her some concern, and she wanted it to be brought to your all's attention. Thank you.
Any more public comments?
Debbie Palmer, 145 Hampton Oaks Drive, Hampton, Georgia. I'm up here today because at the with the teen council and with the council, we had agreed to have a darkness to light training, and I had set that training up, and we had agreed upon a time, but it was turned over to the city manager, and he was supposed to get back with the lady. Well, she had sent me an email because no one had gotten back with her, and she was concerned with the time and date, if it was still going to occur. Well, I tried Friday, and I was told that he had gone to New York. I called Ann, she didn't call me back. And today, I called, and I was attacked by the city manager. And so, right now, I just want to inform the Darkness to Light training has been canceled. It will not take place on May the 14th. And also, the city manager informed me that I would have a sit-down meeting with Councilwoman Tarplin himself. If he wants to make those demands, he needs to make demands like that to his spouse. He won't make those demands to me if that's how he talks, or you all talk. But if you're gonna sit with a committee about something, you need to have the whole committee together. Now, last week, Ann on Thursday sent out an emergency meeting for the teen council at 4 o'clock for the meeting to occur at 6. I don't get out of school until 6, and that is if every one of my students are gone. And in a school building, you don't get reception. So I didn't get the notification until way after the meeting. So it was very difficult. And then I was informed that everyone attended the meeting except me. That was not true. So I guess the next teen council meeting that we have, it might be advisable to have the city attorney present. But I want it for the record, don't demand me to speak one-on-one with a council person or a city manager for any reason, because that's what you want to do. And 2 hours to be called for an emergency meeting is kind of short notice, especially to people who work.
Thank you, ma'am. Any more public comments? Any more public comments? No. 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 If you want to, ma'am, if you want to come up and talk, I'll be glad to listen to you. No.
My name is Nancy Moore. I'm a little bit shy, sorry. I'm also having sewage problems as well, and it smells horribly every time I cut my grass. I have my windows open because I love the outdoors, and my house stinks all the time. And I signed for 1999. My trailer's a 1972, and I do have proper documentations.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Do you have anything else? Okay. You have a question?
I didn't hear your address.
It's 434 Windsor Parkway.
I guess I'm gonna ask my lady from the health department to step back up. This is where I wanna, I guess, talk, and, if y'all have a seat, I'll talk to her for just a minute. And my city attorney, apparently there's an issue out there at the Clover Ranch subdivision. I'm looking for suggestions. I mean,
Yes, sir, there is an issue. Mr. Spraggins and I spent about maybe an hour and a half just walking through the community. We talked to, I think, Julie and Al. We met some of the residents, and they expressed their concerns. We observed several of the cleanouts have been taken off of the pipes that go to the sewer, and you could tell that sewage had actually surfaced. It was all dried up. That's a problem because it's indicating if they're taking those caps off. And first let me say, my office deals strictly with septic tank systems. We don't have any regulations that govern sewer, but my office tries to help out as much as we can because it is a health hazard. The problems I can't address what's causing the problems, but I do see that they're taking those caps off indicates that something is going on, and we saw it in too many places. So that system is old. I've worked for the county, Henry County, for 30 and a half years, and Clover Ranch was there when I started, so I don't know how long it's been there. And I'm assuming that sewer system is the original system there. It's a private system. I've contacted the Department of Natural Resources, EPD, and I've also contacted Henry County Water and Sewage. They never permitted it. It's because it's private. So there is really no codes or any government entity that I'm aware of that can say, hey, you need to fix this. So it's, within the city of Hampton's limits, so it's something that you guys will have to work with them on, but I understand their complaints from what I saw, that there is a problem and no one should have to suffer with sewage surfacing in their yard or under their mobile homes. And it could be that there are some blockages. They may need to run a camera down to see if there are blockages, or it could be that the system is just so old it needs to be updated. Any other questions?
any question from the council? My city attorney, I'm looking towards you. This is a piece of private property, just like an apartment complex. Besides us enforcing code enforcement out on the property, is there anything this city can do?
A business license issue, it sounds like they're operating a business and not selling off the parcels with the mobile homes they're on to make them single family residential homes. And if they're operating a business and they don't have a business license, that is an approach.
Code enforcement out on the property, like we could enforce the code enforcement.
Provided that the codes exist to enforce the violations that are observed. So we need to look at our code enforcement ordinances to see if we have anything that regulates what this young lady and John has observed out there.
Do you have, your ordinance deals with nuisance? Could that be considered?
It definitely could, which could be done in the municipal court.
Thank you, ma'am. Any more public comments? Okay, yes, ma'am.
As a realtor in the city, I want to tell you that if you have any needs, if you want a new home or if you want to move, we're here to help you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, any more public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, council. I just heard the mayor. My name is Carmen Wells. I live in 121 Crestwood Court here in Hampton. And I just want to address a quick article that the mayor wrote in the newsletter. It was a very lighthearted about, you know, keeping the city beautiful, being aware of your surroundings, excuse me, and just really trying to keep Hampton beautiful. I know there have been some changes with the city, and I'm on my board, and we've had some things that were eyesores. We don't know who that person is to help code enforce, if you will. And I hate to say it, but for example's sake, we want to keep the community beautiful too. We feel like we're contributing, we're homeowners. And we would like to know when we call up to the city who that person is, because we just had cleanup day. This is the second one that we have for the year. And people are taking advantage of it, but not everyone. And in order to be able to call on the city and ask for support, it would be nice to know that if we call, there's a point of contact. It just seems like the inoperable cars are piling up, trash is piling up in people's neighborhoods, and we are just not getting a response. I don't know if it's the police department, I don't know if it's the city, but it would be nice to know that there's someone that we can call on and just really do something. I mean, there's trash just going down Elm. It's just piling up. And the people who care, and we're all paying taxes, so we all have a little skin in the game, should care. So if we could have a point of, if that can come on the website, if that could be just a feature, it's springtime, so that kind of stuff I think would be beneficial. So people will know that everyone is paying attention and looking. We got a new Domino's coming. It's beautiful. The city has grown by leaps and bounds in half of the past few years, and I think we all should, you know, do our part. And I'm just asking the city to at least guide us and let us know who that point of contact could be.
Right now, I would say it's my new city manager, Mr. Charles Coney. You can make contact with him, and he can address any problem that goes on here in the city on a day-to-day operation.
Okay, thank you.
Could you tell us your address, please?
121 Crestwood Court in Bridgeport subdivision.
Okay, thank you.
Any more public comment? Well, I do have one. We did have the cleanup day. Wanda, would you please stand up a minute? This young lady, with some help from our public works and some community workers, took in almost 122 tons of trash out of the city of Hampton. Let's give her a big round of applause. Thank you, Wanda, for the job you do. Moving on. Any more public comment? Last call. Okay. Old business. Council to approve, disapprove the second reading of ordinance number 448, an ordinance to allow rezoning from R2 urban residential to C2 general commercial for property located at 7 Hampton Locust Grove Road and land lot 144 of the 3rd District. The property consists of 0.94 plus minus acres, and the request is for retail office space.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Henry and a second by Stephanie Bodie. Any discussion? Don?
Dawn Greer, 20 McDonough Street. Just more of a request from for the city council. Just in reference to the regular meeting in April, I know when this came up the first time before it was approved on the first reading, it was, the way it was voted, it was kind of a quick disapproval. I think it would be helpful for the residents if, when things come up, if we had an understanding of why things are approved or disapproved. I think it's my understanding that I know the applicants and I think the city pay for the advice for the county zoning person, if I understand correctly. And and certainly it's up to the council whether or not you take his advice or not, and I think that's, you know, part of the job, so that's fine. But it would be helpful to those of us who are paying attention to know the reasoning behind your votes. Some of the votes took place kind of quickly and without little or any discussion. So just a request, a little more transparency would be helpful.
Thank you, ma'am. Any more comments? Any council member got comments? Any questions? All in favor? Pass 5-0. Council to approve/disapprove the second reading of ordinance number 447, an ordinance to allow a request for variancy from development standards and property located at 7 Hampton Loscaro Road and land lot 144 of the 3rd District. The property consists of 0.94 plus or minus acres, and the request is to eliminate buffer requirement on the east side of the property. The 15-foot setback to remain. This did pass on 4/26/18 on first reading.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, Don?
Back again, Dawn Greer, 20 McDonough Street. Also, just another request to ensure, I'm not sure if every zoning ordinance request or how much lead time the council has on researching the material, but I think it would be helpful, again, if using the advice of the representative, to just make sure that there's an understanding of what's coming before the council before the vote. Again, the appearances from the regular meeting in April, it just didn't seem that there might have been a good understanding of maybe everything that was being put in the form of executive ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead, Henry.
On this request for the actual setback, is that only for the house? Is that what that's for? Is that the only reason that we're asking for this is because of the house?
Mr. Morris, you want to come up?
Gene Morris, 228 Shorewood Court, McDonough, Georgia. The 15-foot setback is on the east boundary of the property adjoining the electrical substations, and it was requested by Georgia Transmission Company and to allow them room outside of the fence in case of emergency or need to get access to their substation.
Was there not something also with the house about the setback on the house if it remained? I
think that is the next item, which will be on the that may be on that item. That includes if the house remains, it would be in violation of the 50-foot setback.
Right.
And that if the house remains, y'all would approve the house staying there because it's pre-existing building.
Okay.
I don't have the ordinance in front of me.
Okay.
But that is correct.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Pass 5-0. Council to approve, disapprove the second reading of ordinance number 446, ordinance to allow conditional use for property located at 7 Hampton Locust Grove Road and land lot 144 of the 3rd District. The property consists of 0.94 plus or minus acres, and the request is for residential use in a commercial zoning district. At first reading passed 4/26/18.
I would like to make a motion to approve this with one change. On the change would be where it says an ordinance to allow conditional use for existing building only instead of the entire property.
Mr. Mayor, may I speak?
Wait a minute, I gotta get, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
We do have one potential development partner who is interested in doing, mixed use with residential over the commercial office. But I will certainly honor whatever the Hampton City Council decides is appropriate.
Well, Mr. Byrd made the, just for the house only.
Yes.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Two. All opposed? Failed 3-2.
Mr. Mayor, I want to make a motion on this item.
Go ahead.
I would like to make a motion that we approve ordinance number 446 as written, to allow for residential use in this commercial district.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Go ahead, Henry.
Could we get Stacy to come up and kind of explain what that means if we pass this the way it's written?
Mr. Mayor, Stacy Jordan, Rudisill, Henry County Planning and Zoning. What this means is that the zoning code for the city of Hampton allows the council to consider a conditional use for commercially zoned properties to allow the properties to be used in whole or in part for a residential use. So it doesn't just limit it to the top floor. It could allow for the entire building to be used for residences. So since you guys are considering conditions and so forth, it's important to understand exactly what the ordinance would allow. And if that's something that you would like to specify or to change, you can certainly include a zoning condition along with that to more specifically achieve what your vision is for the property.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I need to make an amendment to my motion.
Go ahead.
I would like to make an amendment to the motion to pass ordinance 446 with the stipulation that there has to be retail on the bottom, and if you choose to do above the retail, then you would be allowed to do that, but all retail on the bottom. Is Stacy, is that how I need to make that motion?
If by retail you mean typical commercial uses that may in a typical strip center include restaurant or office or something like that, if that's what you mean, I would just state that for the record and not just simply mercantile.
Okay, so the motion needs to be made to not just retail, but restaurants.
Right, so
Right,
exactly,
right, okay, that's what.
exactly. But if you meant to specify retail only, I think it'd be good to clarify.
Okay, so my motion is to approve this ordinance 446 with the use of C2 on the bottom only. And if residential on top, if you get a developer to come in with residential on top, then we will go with that.
Do I have a second to that motion?
It wouldn't be a given, as Stacy said, with a residential CUP, the way it's currently written without any amendments. He could do all residential if he wanted. He wouldn't have to do any C2 because you would have given him a CUP to allow residential on the property, not limited to the house that Mr. Byrd made the motion to do, but it would be to the way it's written, it would be into the entire property. What Ms. Tarpley is wanting to do is say that the CUP could only be if C2 exists on the lower level.
Do I have a second? Oh, go ahead.
to be clarified, that building, would it be torn down or would it be used?
It is still the hope to save the historical building on the property, and if it does, you know, of course, we would hope that the ground floor could potentially be residential on it, you know, as well, but on any new structures, it would be agreeable that the requirement be that it be C2 uses on the first floor and, potential residential above. That's correct.
Probably I would make sure your motion limited to new structures that may come on the property.
So, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve ordinance 446 to have C2 use only on new structure on the bottom level and to allow for residential on the top level only.
Do I have a second? Any more discussion? Go ahead.
What is our square footage for apartments or rental property? Does anybody know off the top of their head?
Stacy, do you have any idea?
It's in the book.
Okay, so the city's code indicates 3 different types of residential multifamily, RM1, RM2, and RM3. RM1 is for apartments, and the minimum floor area is 900 square feet of heated floor space for a 1-bedroom, 1,200 square feet for 2-bedroom, and for 3 or more bedroom units, 200 additional square feet per bedroom.
So essentially, we could have 6 to 8 apartments above this area. From what I understand, what he presented to the county was 130 by 60 on that building.
It would be less with the addition, because that was to the lot line, so it would be 15 foot less than the 60, so it would be 45.
Okay. All right. So we're talking about putting residential over top of this complex, and all it is a parking lot in front of it. So I don't know what the people would do if they had kids, if they had, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to do this at all, because it's not suited for it at all.
Mr. Mayor, the hope of this developer, and he's done some of these in Beaufort County, South Carolina, where I have other properties, is that this would make spaces available for people who are interested in starting businesses with the potential if they could have an office or a small retail or hair salon or whatever below and a living space above, and it would be an economical way for people who want to bring businesses to Hampton.
Any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Pass 3-2. Council to approve/disapprove the second reading of ordinance 449, an ordinance to allow rezoning from M1 light manufacturing to C2 general commercial for the property located at 140 Oak Street and land lot 252 of the 6th district. The property consists of 0.65 plus or minus acre, and the request is for a restaurant, and the first reading passed 4/26 of 18. Henry, I know. Any discussion? All in favor? Don?
No, you get
Oh.
the motion.
Oh, that's right. Dawn, I seen your hand. Go ahead.
No, not yet.
Come on up.
Dawn Greer, 20 McDonough Street. Just a comment from the regular meeting in April. It's just a reasonable request for the city council just to be a little more diligent and thorough in their understanding of the procedures and what happens when we take votes that affects people's lives and livelihoods. understand how very important it is to make sure that we have a deeper understanding of the impact of some of the votes and how it may or may not even affect the city as far as litigation goes. I just would really, as again, just being a reasonable expectation for us to be able to get through a procedure without having to suspend procedures because things just weren't handled correctly the first time. I just think we have some opportunities. And I know there's a lot of new folks up here, but again, it's maybe just a little bit more effort put into understanding the procedures would be appreciated from those of us.
Thank you, ma'am. Need a motion to approve or disapprove?
I make a motion to approve.
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Pass 4-0. New business. Okay. New business, council to approve / disapprove resolution 18-4, a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign and execute a contract with Piedmont Paving, Inc. in the amount of $95,395.65. John, come forward, please, or my city manager. John Spraggin, we want to see you. Y'all get a picture of this guy. He's in a suit.
Sir.
Tell me about this. What is this?
About what? This is the water main that's going down East Main from the fire hydrant at Mr. Bunsel's house down to Rosenwald to replace the 2-inch main that's feeding about 14 houses now today. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution 18-4 for Piedmont Paving, Inc. in the amount of $95,395.65.
I second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Pass 5-0. Council to approve / disapprove the city attorney working with TSW to update our ordinances for adult entertainment.
I would like to make a motion to remove item number 2 and let the city manager or the attorney address this after, if it passes.
Please.
So, guess this was last year sometime. The city did a grant with ARC to get a firm to rewrite the zoning ordinances. The city went through the bidding process, and TSW was the winner of the bid to do the rewrite. As they continued to work with city staff and their own staff in looking at the zoning ordinance, they realized that there was a hole when it came to adult entertainment, a very taboo and sometimes very unwelcomed issue. They recommended to city staff and myself that to come into compliance with recent case law. You had a case out of Doraville in 2017. There was one out of Sandy Springs in 2016. That we not continue not addressing the adult entertainment area. We do have a business license regulation in Chapter 10, but it is not addressed anywhere in Chapter 67, which is our zoning ordinance. They made that recommendation to us a couple of months ago and asked that if it's going to be done, it makes sense to be done within the zoning rewrite that we're undergoing currently. They indicated that they have an attorney on their staff that has written the zoning ordinance for Milton, I believe Dunwoody, and some other places that has passed muster in the courts and have been upheld, and that one could be written to fit this city and to fit the zoning rewrite that we're currently undergoing, and also to be restrictive, and that's just being transparent. That fee, however, is not covered in what ARC is paying for TSW to do the zoning rewrite. The gentleman's name, the attorney's name is Joseph Cooley, has submitted I guess like a proposal of $5,000 to do the rewrite. Did have a couple of meetings with council members today about what that means for us. One of those concerns was whether or not we could take another city and just rewrite it ourselves, as opposed to having an outside attorney with this TSW group and following their recommendation to do the rewrite. It was indicated that a couple of things. Number one, we definitely want to make sure that we're on the right side of the law when it comes to the rewrite, and that an expert doing it would possibly, obviously there are no guarantees in the legal world, but would get us there. But that if I needed to do more research to look around at other cities, I was happy to do that. I did make the comment in the conversations that I did not think the cost, I thought that the cost would be something well spent by the city, given the reputation of this this firm that's doing our zoning ordinances currently, and it would kind of follow the same schedule we've been on with getting it approved for the first read, I think in June, and then possible adoption in July.
Had a motion by Henry, do I have a second? To withdraw, are you gonna withdraw this, Henry, off?
Yes, till further.
For further research.
May I say something?
Go ahead.
Attorney, this ordinance is to prevent.
No, sir. In fact, you can't prevent it. That's the whole issue. You can't prevent it, and currently we don't have an ordinance on it to allow or prevent it. We have regulations that would regulate it should one come, but if you looked in your zoning ordinance, if an application was submitted today, hi, I want to put an adult entertainment type business in the city. Whoever office it would go to, whether it be Miss Denise or Miss Wanda, they would know where to place it. And if you deny it, then that definitely opens up the city to litigation. And so this is not the ordinance for you to vote on tonight. This was whether or not you want to go with TSW's recommendation to have an ordinance written that was restrictive but allowing of adult entertainment in certain areas of the city. We can talk about the particulars of that ordinance and what it would look like. It would be limited to certain zoning districts like M1, which is industrial. I believe that's consistent with Henry County, and potentially C3, which is a higher commercial district, and no alcohol would be allowed to be served. The case of Oasis Good Time, which is a 2015 case, indicated that the Supreme Court allows bans on alcohol in adult entertainment industries. So that's the kind of ordinance that would be written on your behalf if this was done. Or we can do what this motion Mr. Byrd is presenting, is allow me time to do the research to maybe copy from some other city. And that's just your options tonight. It's not to vote on the actual language of the ordinance.
So, I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. TSW, this ordinance will roll out at the same time as the ordinance or the zoning that we're currently undertaking at this time. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So, this would be an additional $5,000. I think we're matching 19, 22, maybe $22,000, Denise. 19 $19,000, so this would have been in addition to that $19,000, which would put us right at 25 that we are contributing to get this taken care of.
That's also correct.
All right.
Yes, sir. I will let my
The
city attorney.
answer to both is yes. You're already getting a public hearing, and this, tying this to it will be included in your public hearing. In fact, we had a community, open to the community public hearing, over at the depot, and only 2 people showed. Ms. Dawn showed and Councilman Byrd showed, and, we're having more every month before they vote on it. So yes, sir, there will be indeed public input. It has been, it's already been publicized. It's my understanding that all of the hearings or the meetings on your zoning rewrite, that's been in place probably since December, well before I got here. And if we need to put it maybe more visible on the website, I think Mr. Coney can take care of that.
Go ahead.
For this new ordinance that we're considering, we have a chance to say we want to restrict it. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, Dawn.
Don Greer, 20 McDonough Street. So if the city attorney does the research on your own, how much of a time lag would there be with the timing of the other ordinances coming out? Would there be that much of a delay? Because it could save us a significant amount of money.
That's a good question. In fact, we are not putting out, I'm writing, not rewriting, tweaking the sign ordinance, because that wasn't a part of TSW either. Neither was the cell tower, wireless cell tower portion of the zoning ordinance is not a part of TSW. So I'm doing that myself.
Yes, ma'am. So there already are several other things
That's-
that you're doing because they
that's
wouldn't be
correct.
covered under the grant. Okay, so it's not,
So it could be a delay. Obviously, I don't want it to be.
right.
And,
But would it be significant, you think?
maybe not. I just don't know.
I understand.
The cell tower is another area of the law that has undergone some litigation. And so to make sure you write one that, not only is in compliance with the case law, but also the statutory law, there's the wireless communication statute, that's gonna be critical, and where those can go and co-location and all that other good stuff. In fact, I'm waiting to see, there was a bill in this last session that ended, in March, that would affect wireless and, cell towers. We've seen that the governor's signing some stuff, vetoing some stuff as we speak. So that's putting a little delay on finishing that one to see where that bill goes. I would work very hard for it not to be a delay. I guess is the best answer I can give you.
That was my question, with the time and the money out, would it balance out somewhere, because it's $5,000, okay.
So all we're doing tonight is removing this from the agenda.
That's Mr. Byrd's motion.
Mr. Byrd's motion to remove it from the agenda and bring it back. Okay, hang on just a minute. Mr. Byrd's motion to remove it from the agenda to bring it back after you research it. Is that correct?
Is that correct, Mr. Byrd?
Okay, yes, ma'am.
My first time up here. Okay, I'm Dee Berquist. I live at 94 Elm Street, and I would like to know, I talked to you, I would like to know what time was this meeting when 2 people showed? I have doctor appointments 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock. What time was the meeting?
It was at 6 or 6:30 p.m.
In the evening?
Yes, ma'am. And I'll tell you the exact time if you give me 2 seconds.
Because I know sometimes you have it real early, when you call these meetings.
It was April 26th at 6:30.
Thank
ma'am.
you. Motion from Henry. Did I ever get a second? Ms. Oliver?
Oliver, 20 College Street. I just want to make a correction on that. That meeting that was held April 26th was billed as a zoning meeting, continuing the zoning that had been, the zoning meetings that had been done previously. I think the last one was in January. Nothing was said about that being a public hearing for any ordinance.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make a comment. All ordinance require that you, when you're changing zonings, to do a public hearing. So it's something that we definitely can make sure happens, so that our citizens can have their input when we decide to do an ordinance regarding the adult entertainment industry.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Who? Come on, Mr. Lowe.
Again, and Dawn has addressed it a couple of times, I've addressed it previously. If you look at the agenda that's out today, it says the council to approve or disapprove the city attorney working with TSW to update an ordinance for adult entertainment. My first question was, the aforementioned rate is inclusive of all general and municipal work, which I would consider an ordinance municipal work. That's in the proposal that was presented by Ms. Wiggins. Then if you go a little bit further into it, you find a council agenda item, which was online but not furnished to the people who showed up here tonight. It says TSW to do ordinance for adult entertainment and give permission to our city attorney to contact. I suppose that really was to contract with TSW or to contact TSW. It doesn't say anything about money. And then, if you go a little bit further into it, you find an invoice from an attorney. TSW is not a law firm, they're a land planning company. But then you find an invoice to Ms. Wiggins as the city attorney for $5,000. If you don't dig into this deeply, and if you just walk in the door and you see this agenda item, you have no idea what's going on and what's being discussed. You don't know that there's $5,000 involved in it. You don't know that it's really not TSW. It's a separate law firm, different from TSW, which makes the agenda item a little misleading. I understand that agendas are just that, agendas. They don't go into detail. But a little bit more explanation would, I think, mean something to the folks who are sitting out there wondering about all these other things that were online. Just transparency all the time. Thank you.
Any more comments? Okay, I have a motion made by Henry. Do I have a second?
I think Ms. Bodie has something.
I just need to make sure I understand this right. Can we just take TSW out and save that money and you do this?
You could. You could. The gentleman works for TSW, so let's just be clear. And I think there's nothing but transparency. I don't write agenda items, but I provided the clerk with all of the information that I received from not only TSW, but also Mr. Cooley, so that you can have all the information that I have. You can do whatever you like. I mean, obviously, having me write it is just fine. Now, whether you have the expertise of, like I said, someone that your current zoning rewrite folks have recommended, that's up to the city. That's up to the city.
Go ahead.
I want to just clarify. With TSW, the attorney that's actually working on our zoning at this current time is the one that also has the case study or case law that has gone to court and won on adult entertainment. Same guy.
And Denise, correct me if I'm, because you talked with him too, but same guy.
Same guy. All right. This will be just a continuation of, or an addition to what we're currently getting done in regards to our zoning, because this is a gap, and we've had some questions and some entities that's interested in coming this way, so we want to try to restrict as much as possible. And we want to make sure that if it goes to court, we would have a very good chance.
Just a question for the attorney. You said the 2 cities that they have written these for? You know the cities that, didn't you say their name, actually the city's name?
I think it's either we've looked at so many. It's either Doraville is one of them, and I know that's the one that was just in court that had theirs upheld by the Supreme Court of Georgia.
So,
I can't remember the other.
so is that ordinance not online?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Absolutely, under Muni Code.
Is there any law that can stop us from using that ordinance and putting our name on it?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, you obviously have to make some changes, right? It can't
Right.
be a copy
Hampton.
and paste, because
Right.
we're not Doraville, we're not
Right.
Sandy Springs.
Right, okay, that's it.
Okay, I have a motion by Henry to remove it. Stephanie, did you second it? Do I have a second? Dies from a lack of a second. It stays on the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion that we go ahead and allow TSW to move forward with, doing the adult entertainment ordinance, so we can have some consistency.
Do I have a second? Any more discussion? Go ahead, Henry.
And why we would pay $5,000 to get something that we can go online and do ourselves and just put our name and whatever other information that needs to be put in it.
This was a recommendation by the folks writing your zoning ordinance, and obviously, if I'd known that it would have been this much of an issue, maybe I should have had them here to answer your questions, but this was a recommendation by them.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Go ahead, Ms.
You just mentioned earlier that Doraville, I've written one before and went to court, right?
That's correct.
And if we use that one, we would be going to court as well. And law.
No, theirs was upheld.
Was it upheld? Okay.
But theirs was upheld.
Okay, all right.
Any more discussion? Yes, sir.
Don Landis, 58 West King Road. I mean, I agree with what Henry said. Why should we pay $5,000 for something we can get online? We have a competent lawyer right here that can review that and make the necessary changes to fit our city. Why should we pay $5,000 for that? What makes sense to me? I just see us pay $5,000 for something we don't need to.
Yes, sir, thank you. Any more comments? I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Mr. Mitchell? approve or disapprove?
Approve.
Passed 3-2. Council to approve/disapprove special alcohol beverage event application for Kinsley Grace Aquatic Center Foundation to be held on October the 20th, 2018.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the special alcohol beverage event application for Kinsley Grace Aquatic Center Foundation for October the 20th, 2018.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All in favor?
I got a question.
Okay, Mr. Mitchell got his questions. Go ahead.
It didn't specify
Okay, pass 5-0. Council to approve/disapprove the purchase of body pack transmitter and a Samsung display monitor to be paid to Atlanta Audio Visual in the amount of $17,264.80. Mr. City Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is some enhancements, continuing the work that we've started in this room, one of which obviously is the improvement of the screens. For example, we want to put a television here so you as councilpersons can see the same level. We are seeking to provide more information and for display so that the discussions are healthier. So we recommend approval.
Do I have a motion to approve or disapprove?
I make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I do. I guess, can we not try to either see if we can turn these microphones up or do something? I just hate to see us spend $17,000 because somebody don't move up to the microphone and speak.
Any more comments?
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I find it very interesting, Mr. Mayor, that no one wants to stand up and spend $17,000 for audio system.
Okay, clear.
I find it
Don't yell.
very difficult to understand or wrap my mind around no one standing up against spending $17,000 for an audio system, but we're not willing to spend $5,000 to protect our families and our kids from adult entertainment. So, and today was a really emotional day dealing with the lunch we had and the concern about our kids and our family and our community. And I think we got our moral compass correct. That's my comment.
Any more comments? Need a motion? Motion. All in favor? Any more comments? Any more comments? Don?
Don Brewer, 20 McDonough Street. I just think in general, the personal pieces of it are better just left off the table. And just as a council, just trying to weigh each individual item here and see if it's really worth the money. I think that's all this is about. It's not, is this more important than that, or making it a personal issue of, people speaking up or not speaking up. But I mean, if something's a valid expenditure, then it's valid. If it's not, it's not. But we're still entitled to discuss it without fear of, negative comment or retribution or anything. So.
Any more comments? Have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Stephanie? Approved. Pass 4-1. Council to approve/disapprove the changes to the Georgia Municipal Association Retirement Plan. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have our representative from GMA here in case you have questions, but we have read through this, and there's only one change that I would ask the council to consider. In this age of difference in long-term employment. There was a time when people started working somewhere and they stayed for 30 years. They stayed for 25 years. The next generation is coming on board, does not even think that way. More importantly, we're finding that the great IBMs of the world don't even last that long. We're finding that even on the government side, we're challenged with such things as healthcare. So in hopes of having someone stay with us for 25, 30 years, we can't even promise that. So I've read through this in detail, and I also come to you as a part of a human resource executive level background and some of the best practices across the entire nation. I have had time to spend here knowing the employees. I have found this government to be employee friendly. And therefore, I am asking for a change, that we continue the 5-year vesting and not go with the 10-year vesting. This is only a $5,000 savings, and our employees are the heart of this community. I said to you when I interviewed, as a people manager, they're the first ones I look to. And so I would like to ask that we maintain the 5-year vesting. That gives portability. If someone comes to this government and they give us at least 5 years and they give us good employment, why can't we allow them to walk away with that pension versus trying to make them last or stay for 10 years or risk the chance of at year 6, 7, 8 not have anything to go ahead with. We will be exploring full retirement participation by the employees, but we are one of the few governments that still has a pension plan. That is something that's fading out of the world. And so, Mayor, it is my recommendation, having discussed it also with the GMA and some others, that we approve with a modification that the 5-year vesting stays.
Thank you, sir. Need a motion? Any comments? I need a motion first to approve or disapprove.
I make a motion that we approve the changes to the retirement plans to exclude the going from 5 years to 10 years. Just let's stay at 5 years.
Any discussion? Go ahead, Henry.
Just as for the attorney, do I need to abstain from this vote? Well,
Because of Ms. Wanda?
yeah.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All in favor? Pass 5-0. Positive happening in the community. We'll start with Councilman Brown.
I wish everybody had the opportunity to attend the luncheon today by United Way. It was very informative. I wasn't aware of some of the hardships that our community suffers as a county, as a region of Atlanta with veterans homelessness, children that are going hungry, and a couple other scenarios that was presented today. I don't know if there's an opportunity to maybe get a summary of that event and have it available on our website, but I think that it was a very good event, and I think we all need to kind of do some soul searching.
One thing I'd like to share is, as we learned, we have 2 young gentlemen here that are going to Germany. Last week, just through a circumstance of mutual friends, I met Hunter, and he had no clue who I was, and I had no clue who he was. But he was a perfect gentleman, very polite, very nice, and I am just, to me, he feels like the real deal, and I'm very excited he got this opportunity.
So, positive happening. I really want to commend Councilmember Brown. All of us work, but I've watched him with the veterans, and Mr. King's home, the American Legion has taken on that project, and he's kind of headed it up on the Hampton side. All of the work that he's put in, hours of work, real like hitting hammers to nails kind of work, and getting those individuals, trying to get them placed. And right now We are asking our community, if you know of housing that they could possibly move into until the inside of their house is completed, couple of months, please contact Councilman Brown. He's looking at this time, trying to get them positioned and situated. They've done the outside, the roof. So any help this community can give, we would greatly appreciate it. And thank you, Councilman Brown.
Councilman Mitchell?
Well, what I want to say is when me and myself and Councilman Bodie and Councilman Byrd went to the charter school, we enjoyed a lot, and we see the teachers are very friendly, and I can tell that they enjoy their work, and we appreciate them that they have been serving the community very well, and I have to give them applause for their work they have done.
Councilman Byrd?
I just wanted to thank the streets department for doing a good job and getting the city kind of getting it straightened out, and it's grass cutting time, so they're going to be really busy now.
Thank you. Okay, now I have the closing comments on it. Might as well get your ink pens out because I've got a list of announcements. The farmer market began last Saturday. It will be held every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Cherry Street behind Rutabaker. The growing season has started, so come on out if you've got some product you'd like to sell. I'm sure go to Rutabaker's and sign up with them. And today is Water and Professional Appreciation Day. I didn't know that. May the 9th is the State of the County Address at the Merle Mander Conference tomorrow, and that starts at 11 o'clock. May the 10th is the Henry County Service Delivery Strategy Meeting. The managers and administrative people are getting together. May the 12th is movie night, 7 p.m. and showing Wander, okay. May the 19th is Ladies Night Out here in the city from 6 to 9. May the 23rd, Henry County Chamber of Conference Board Meeting. May the 28th is Memorial Day, the Memorial Day service at the Hampton Train Depot at 9:30 a.m. American Legion Post 330. As well, that will be the opening day for the Splash Pad. June 14th, tentative, is the leadership retreat for Who Moved My Cheese? Okay, new one. And June the 22nd through the 26th, the Georgia Municipal Association 85th Annual Convention in Savannah. Do we need an executive session?
Yes. Yes.
We do need an executive session.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Do I have a second? All in favor of going into executive session? Pass 5-0. We're in executive session.
Because you might change what it is.
Need a motion to come out of executive session?
Second.
All in favor, come out of a second?
Second.
Okay. We're out of executive session. Need a motion to authorize the city manager to move forward on what we talked about.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion that we, allow the city manager to move forward, with the suggestions made in executive session.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Pass 5-0. Need a motion to adjourn?
Mayor, before you do that, Ms. Bird would like to say something.
Ms. Bird, come forward.
With not so many people around, but I did want to thank Public Works. We had about 15 people or more volunteers, employees that helped with the city cleanup, and they were consistently busy. Miss Ann will tell you how long she had to wait in line to bring her stuff. So it was a very, very busy weekend, and I'm glad people came. I hope more people participate because we get it taken care of all the way. So I did want to thank Public Works because they were a big help. Also, Chief Austin helped arrange the inmates with Sheriff McBride. So I just want to thank everybody.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
You have scheduled the second one, right?
Yes, sir.
And what are those dates?
I think it's October the 5th through the 7th, I believe. I'll have to verify that, but I believe that's the date.
Okay. Okay. Need a motion to adjourn?
I make a.
Wait, Mr. Williams?
One 188 Kendall. Hey, I just want to say two things. One is I want to say thank you for taking a look at the parks. I'll say the corrections that you made, getting that stuff in order. That's good. The second one is just in case you're looking for a building that you may want to think about putting a recreation center, the Fred's Dollar Store is asking roughly $1 million for that building. But they will drop the price on that building. It is electrically ready, everything ready in the side of it. It is not big enough for a grocery store, and it is not big enough to go do anything else with. So just in case you're looking for a building, that's how much it costs.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Need a motion to adjourn?
I made a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? We are adjourned at 8:31 p.m.
Well, there you go.
Thank you, guys.